Okay, now we're going to go over what the tee sheet looks like when we have a large group or a large outing. So just to walk you through the day, over here you will see some notes on most days. So for example, you'll see a note on here. This just so happens to be July 7th. Off course by 1 o'clock. So that would be an example. Every time you make a tee time, look at the notes, especially on the weekends, July 7th, okay? Everyone has to be off the course by 1. So this guy comes in, for example, it takes about 4 hours to play 18 holes. So he comes in at 8 o'clock, and you would tell him, hey, we need to make sure you're off the course by 1 o'clock. Okay, no problem. 18 holes, take the tee time. But it becomes even more important in here as we get closer and closer to that 1 o'clock time frame. And the reason why I say 1 o'clock is because we have a shotgun outing, the J-Dog Open, that will be starting at 1:30, and I always tell them a half hour earlier than when the outing starts. That way we can get the carts back in, we can get them cleaned, and back out for the next outing. So as you can see, people start stacking up here, and the communication has to be really, really important as you tell these folks, hey, you got to be off the course by 1 o'clock. And as you can see, we have 18 holers, and then as we get closer and closer, it ends up being more and more 9 holers because that's all they have time for. This one, I don't know, they had 18 holes. And see, we made a note to make sure we're accountable, knows about the outing, because that is a dicey one. 10-23, trying to be off by 1. But as long as they know, that's all we can do. I do block it off starting at 11 o'clock just to give us some margin for error. I hate to block it off all the way from like 9 o'clock because you're blowing up the whole course for the outing. So I try to squeeze as many in as possible. And as long as we have really, really good communication to the golfers when they call and when they check in, we should have no problems. So the outing I project will end at 6:30. So as you can see on the left here, this is the outing. And then after the outing, there's a handful of people that wanted to make a tee time here. The people that are this color never showed up. And as I'm showing you this is it's January 11th, and this was on July 7th. So this is in the past. The people that showed up are in blue. If there's one person, it looks like this. If there's 2 people, it looks like this. If there's 4 people, it goes all the way across here. Now, I always tell everybody, I don't want you to make tee times on the back 9. Now, if it's the first one out and they're playing 9 holes at 7 to like 9 in the morning, that's fine. Why? Because it's so hard to predict sometimes when people will be making a turn from the front 9 to the back 9. And if we're making tee times on the back 9 throughout the middle of the day, it just makes things really, really difficult. So try not to make tee times on the back unless it's a special situation or if it's like a 9-holer within the first 2 hours of opening. Now, what you see over here, these are turn times. These are when these folks are expected to make the turn. This is the front 9, and this is the back 9. So you will see this Taylor is an 18-hole. They're projected to make the turn at 9:55. And what you see there, that arrow there means that's their turn time. Okay, so that gives you an idea. Now, sometimes you would say, throughout the day, oh, I don't have a 9:20 tee time, but this guy wants to golf. Maybe I'll stick him here at 9:17. Again, it's really, really difficult because if this Gerritson's running a little later or a little quicker, this is going to get all jammed up. And then, you got to wait for Gerritson to make the turn, and then they wait for Gerritson. And then Deshane is playing quick, and they're right on their heels. And next thing you know, this guy had a 9 9:20 tee time, and they're waiting to get off the back, and they can't because it's just these folks keep coming through. So that's why we try to stay away from that. But that's pretty much a tee sheet. There's a lot of little nuances when it comes to the tee sheet. You're trying to give everybody some comfort. And as you can see, it's 7.5 minutes apart. You want them to be comfortable, yet you're trying to jam as many people in there as possible, quite frankly. So if we do a good job of managing the tee sheet, we should be able to bring enough tee times in to pay the bills, and at the same time have everybody have an enjoyable time out on the course without feeling like everyone's on top of each other. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask, and we'll make it happen.